Hear me, children of wind and wave, awaken these storm hearts from their historic grave. Unbind the tempest from your iron chains. Let thunder roll where our dominion wanes. Answer the call of salt and sky. Surge forth to claim what once was nigh. Scour the towers, shatter our walls. Drown the city beneath your gales. No more our will shall bind the sea, nor mute the voice of destiny. Reclaim the shores with roaring might. We yield our power to your endless night. Rise, O tidal wrath, and cleanse this land. Sweep away ruin with your briny hand. Release the world from captive thrall. Storm and sea, arise and engulf us all. The ocean stirs with restless fury. The sea's rage, long suppressed by human greed and destruction, has reached breaking point. In its despair, it called to us and remade us. We are sea witches now, bound to the depths and wielding its power. Tonight, we complete a ritual with the power to drown empires, shatter fleets, and summon a reckoning storm. The ocean demands sacrifice. We choose the shape of that sacrifice. But among us, doubts linger. Is destruction the only way to make the world listen? Can harm make way for healing? What of the innocents? The ritual, once begun, cannot be undone. Will we ignite devastation or refuse and seek another path? We sit around a cauldron on the cliffs above the city where we once lived. It sprawls below, ancient and terrible. This is a high fantasy world of swords and ships and guilds and wizards and land spoiled by power. We will discover the city as we speak, shaping it through our stories. Our coven, Anjuli as Lazy the Stormforged, Rachel as Orin the Reef Shaper, Michelle, Kale the Abyss Walker, Ellie, Celis the Whisperer, and Wingshan as Myra the Songweaver. So how we play. This is collective storytelling. Each player has a time slot that includes their story and quick in-character interjections. Before rights 1 and 2, we roll a d6 to receive secret words, and we will write them down on a folded slip. Do not say or hint at your words. Your aim is to get others to say them with sharp, in-character questions. If a word lands, move your talisman miniature inward and place your folded slip in the center. End your story with, my tale is told, and the tides turn. In Right 3, we will draw a word from the center instead of rolling, and when your word lands, we write heal or destroy on the back of this slip. Add it to the center and move inwards. Roll for Right 1 secret words. Right 1, remembering. Prompt, life in the city.
I was a storyteller. I was a writer, and I was a good one. I was prized for it. I earned my keep. I earned, beyond that, I earned more than anyone could hope for, and I was so proud. I would create these stories from nothing, and I was so pleased with every one of them, and people loved them. And I wouldn't even write without payment after a while. After years, my words became famous. I don't know if you know the one about the fisherman murdered by the ship's cook. It's one of mine.
I love that one.
Everybody did. Everybody loved it. And I remember I was in a tavern, just a quiet thing, just a place to be alone. There was this young man, scrawny, ugly little thing, voice like you'd never heard. And
can you tell me more about his voice?
It was like the call of the Titan whales. It was full of sorrow, sadness, but also such hope, such truth, such honesty. And he asked me for a story. He'd heard of me, everybody. And I asked him what he would pay. And he said he could only pay me in a song. And I don't know what it was in then, but I decided, why not? Why not take this payment? And he sang. And he sang me a song about a wealthy merchant's daughter and the son of a blacksmith and their love story. And it was so beautiful. They decided, as all these love stories end, to run away together. And they were going to charter a ship. And when they reached it, both families were blocking them from entering. And they dropped their possessions and entreated the ocean to open and let them in. And he did. They were gone. And after he was finished singing, I said to him, how did you come up with that? He said, I didn't. He said, it's an old song. One of the oldest.
Why hadn't you heard it?
I don't know. Sometimes when you become so enamored with your own voice, it's hard to hear other people's. Maybe I didn't know how to listen. And after that, I started going to the shore and listening. I'd listen to the songs of the Titan whales. And there was music everywhere. And there were stories everywhere. I heard their stories, more ancient and powerful than any of mine. And after that, I didn't write my own stories anymore. I traveled, and I brought the stories of others, creatures of the sea and of the land, everywhere I could. It was the happiest I'd ever been.
You didn't desire to tell more stories of your own.
They seemed so small. They seemed pointless. I didn't feel the need. I had no ego pushing me forward anymore. It wasn't my stories weren't necessary. I had a gift for telling them, but there are so many more stories beyond me.
What became of your money?
I had enough to keep going. I learned to live modestly. I was never poor. I was never hungry. It didn't matter.
Have you always lived on your own?
Yeah. I suppose I only ever had myself. The things I created. I suppose there was community in none of the stories. There was kinship.
So without the stories, without the kinship, it's...
Completely would have been isolated. I wouldn't speak about that. Anything. No companionship, no connection.
Do you think if someone saw you, they would feel sorry for you? Or did you feel sorry for yourself? It sounds quite dreary.
I'm sure there are stories that people created themselves when they saw me. They had their stories, they had their opinions. I don't think I was worthy of pity. I don't think, I wasn't lonely. Especially not when I could see how much there was in the world around me. My tale is told. Sorry. The tides turn.
The waves have called to me since I was a youth, and I found the answer upon the waves as I sailed from the place of my home to the city that we all know. And upon the ship, we transported treasures of my homeland, ready to share them for a price. Tapestries of gold and stories, spices and drafts and all of the beauties and gifts that we knew the city craved, and we knew the city had riches to exchange. And so we traveled back and forth across the waves, I a lowly deckhand, listening to the stories within the salt water, breathing them in. And when I grew tired of being out in the cold, I would go below decks and speak to the ship's cook, one that was not murdering any fishermen. And he taught me how to create the tastes of home that I yearned for when I was within the city. He taught me how to combine the ingredients from our home with what we could find within the city to give me a sense of what I was longing for so far from where I'd come. And I found myself wishing that I could share it. Yes, the city was full of riches, but only for the few. Not for the many.
You seem bitter about that.
Bitter is one flavor profile that I've dabbled with. It didn't seem right. We brought these gifts of our home, thinking that the city would admire them, that all the people would get to exchange something of themselves with us, and yet the many could not afford what we had to give, what we had traveled so far to share. And so I began visiting Cook when we made port, and Cook would turn the other way as I filled a bag with what was left, and I shared it. I shared it with the people who did not have gold to give in exchange, but instead had something of themselves, something of their city, something of their home. They brought it to me, and I brought them warm, aromatic bowls of deliciousness.
How did you secret them off the ship?
When one is not deemed important, it is easy for one to escape notice. When one is told, go here, do this, take that, drop it here, it's easy to go there, take that, drop this over there. And so I did, and so it was that people could taste something of home, and I felt a little less adrift on the shore.
Did you ever get caught?
I did. I did get caught. As I returned to the vessel for more supplies, I was caught. I was confronted. I pled ignorance. I denied everything, and perhaps that was cowardice. Perhaps I should have been proud of what I was doing. But punishment came soon enough.
What did they do?
One day, as we returned to my home, and I so looked forward to seeing it, I stood upon the deck, breathing in the stories of the sea, and found myself tumbling towards them, a hand at my back, and then nothing beneath me but waves. My tale is told, the tides turn.
It may be hard to believe now, but once I was small and young. No. I know. Ever so young. And once my mother strode the earth like it belonged to her. She was laughter and quick hands, and she could fight, she could fix a sail, she could do anything. She was everything to me back then. She would pull me through the busiest streets without even slowing down. Everyone would move out of her way. And one time, during the Festival of Lights, if you remember it, such a beautiful festival, the city would glow, there was a fevered haze, and it was magical, just magical. The lanterns, when they'd rise, they would look like amber stars. Some of you might be too young to actually remember that. They don't do it anymore.
You flatter us.
The air was rich with spices, and that was probably you from that sail. Not the smoke and rust that it is now. I remember thinking that the whole world must be watching her, watching me as we ran through the streets. She just had such presence. One time at the festival, one of our lanterns broke, and it was tossed about playfully in the wind, and it started rising and rising. My mother's eyes caught mine, and she grabbed my hand. "Come on, my little eel," she'd shout, and we ran through the streets, darting between the stalls, and then carried ourselves up onto the rooftops. The guards yelling at us, but we didn't care at all. We were running across the tiles, sliding and sliding, and there we saw this lonely lantern caught in a weather vane. And she freed it and pressed it into my arms and told me to write my wish on it. And so I did. And she helped me free it into the air, and it was the most wonderful moment for me. I remember feeling like this was going to come true, like we had worked for it, we had run, we had escaped guards. This wish of mine was going to come true.
When you first started talking about your mother, I thought she was quite a gentle woman. But it seems
she was
like
a fierce woman.
That's exactly the word I was going to use.
Yes. She was fierce and wonderful, and I miss that about her.
Force of nature.
Force of nature. As I am now, she was then. I owe it all to her.
Do you think she was happy?
At the time, I think she may have been happy. It was just me and her, and we wanted not for much. We had no talents to gain riches and lived a very simple life. But together, we were everything to each other. Looking back as a slightly bitter woman now, I feel maybe she wasn't quite as happy as my rose-tinted eyes led on. But
perhaps none
at
of
that
us
moment,
were.
Sorry.
Perhaps none of us were.
Yes. But in that moment, looking out across the square, crowded with people, us on our own, I felt like I was the happiest I've ever been. I wish those days of the lanterns still existed, but this city is not what it was. Not anymore. Promises burn bright. That is until, someone poisons the wind. And that's it. My tale is told. Let the tides turn.
I have a tale that's quite similar, actually. I mean, my favourite memory of the city is the Festival of Light. I mean, it's no question that our city is divided. There are people starving. There are people taking.
And taking.
And taking.
And taking. It's a rotten place. But the Festival of Light was the one moment that brought us all together. And I always used to sing at home, and my mother told me, "Oh, why don't you just take to the market? Why don't you just sing the song that I hear you singing all the time?" And I did it. I stood at the center of this market square, and I saw these lanterns bobbing on rooftops and just children carrying them everywhere. And they're like little moons. Everyone was happy. Fishermen, merchants, even the guards were swaying. Not that they should sway, but even the guards, the unfeeling, cold guards. And I sung. And my song was so strong that the tide itself paused to listen. And for a heartbeat, the city felt whole, united, joyful. And then the last note faded, and the cruelty of hunger returned. Deals in corners, coins counted, guards bribed. My voice could still the ocean, but not the city's greed.
What happened to the city's heart?
The city's heart?
Rotted.
Corrupted. Cold. I don't know how we got here. I can't remember a time when it didn't feel like that. There must be. I hear tales. We hear the bards sing these times of when things were better. But maybe we've always been like this.
Stories have been known to be false.
Sorry?
Stories have been known to be false. Songs too. Where did your song come from?
My song came from my best friend who had recently passed. And she had recently, before she'd passed, she'd gone on an adventure to a faraway place, and she would write me letters. And she told me of the people she met who were kind and generous. She found out something quite devastating about the reasons why they went there and what they did to the people in those lands in the name of our city, but not in my name and not in her name. And she stood against her group, the merchants, and she did an act similar to yours. She took from those in power and managed to get some back, but for that, she was punished and she died.
These battles are not easily won.
But she was brave.
She was brave, and her force, her bravery, her courage, her strength stilled the city's heart. My tale is told and the tides turn.
There are some things I don't think I've ever told you. I used to be terrified of the ocean. Terrified. I was a twin. But it took her, and the last thing that I remember is just her hand stretched above the waves. I didn't understand what was happening. I thought she was waving. I thought we were having fun, but now I know that she was reaching out to me, reaching for what she had above the water. Obviously, after that, I had nightmares that some terrible beast would pull me down, drag me down to join her. But after long enough with the same nightmares, you get bored, really. Absolutely bored. I was fed up. And so I thought the only real way, anyway, to destroy a fear is to understand it. I thought that if I could learn every fact about the ocean and everything that dwelled beneath it, that I could declaw, the thing that I was most afraid of, the thing that had taken almost everything from me.
How long did it take for you to read everything that you could? I imagine this is not something you
A lifetime. It was the rest of my life up there. But, I did learn a lot. I did. I mean, I kind of thought of myself as a scholar. I mean, granted, I was a student, but it didn't make that much of a difference to me. Immersing myself in everything. I wasn't just reading, I was swimming, I was diving. I would have explored every atom in that ocean if I could have done, if I had the time. But after a while, I think it became a new way of life for me, that quest to understand everything. And so I went off to the colleges, to the universities, and it was the first time that I felt I was surrounded by people just driven by passion. And not just fear, like I was, but real passion, real love for what they dedicated their lives to. So I threw myself into it. I was president of the Ocean Advocates. I was head of the intercollegiate dive team. And I was social secretary for the Haberdashery Club.
Very impressive.
You've got to have a hobby. You've got to have a hobby. And then, of course, surrounded by people like that, I fell in love, and then I fell in love again, and then I fell in love with multiple people at the same time. And that was I think that was the most fun, really, I had up there. And then, in the end, I found my true love, coral ecology.
Coral ecology.
Coral ecology.
Coral ecology.
I know that some people found sexier pastimes, but I was content. Coral it's not a plant. A lot of people think they're plants. They're animals. Whole colonies of animals living together. It's biological kingdoms in harmony. It's something we could only dream of, really, on land.
Your study with the diving going underwater.
100%, yeah. I wanted to get hands-on, really. I think there was something beautiful in the reefs as well. Corals, they live through symbiosis. The coral can't live unless the algae within it is able to photosynthesize, create food so that the entire reef can survive. It's not just people who take down there. There are whole ecosystems based on mutual, I don't know if you can call it love. It's just the way these things work, I suppose, but it was beautiful to me. It still is. That's how I got my name, I suppose.
When you found your love for coral, your fear left you?
I don't know if something like that can ever leave you completely, but in a sense, it started to feel like the water that separated us when I went on those dives also connected us. through time.
Symbiosis.
Symbiosis.
Collaboration.
That's it. Working together, harmony, unity, all of those things. And I felt like I was with my sister too. So, in a sense, I didn't become less afraid. It didn't undo what the ocean had taken away from me, but it put me at the heart of it, and I felt some semblance that I could control. You know, not necessarily what happened, but how I reacted to it. And, you know, I found other people with the same kinds of interests as me, and I suppose we ended up living in a tiny place, the kind of place where any room doesn't have a wash basin in it is a bedroom. They squashed as many of us as they could into that house, but, you know, long days of studying followed by communal meals by an open fire. Those kind of close quarters can push you together or split you apart. But I think that was my first coven. Yeah, my first coven. We were unstoppable. I wonder where they are now.
We wonder where many are now.
Well, my tale is told, and the tides turn.
Roll for right to secret words.
I don't know if any of you have ever heard the songs of the Titan whales. It's an incredible thing. It's terrifying in its own way and so beautiful. And I used to go out and used to listen to them. I used to listen to the stories that they would tell. And there was something beautiful about a story that I could never truly understand, a language I could never speak. It was their story, not mine. But it was enough just to hear them tell it. And the stories began to change. The whale hunters would come, their search for ambergris, for whalebone, for the things that we have built our city on, things that power our city, that burn for our lights. You can extract the most potent fat and power if the whale is still alive.
They have to still be alive.
And they learned that quickly. And the stories that the whales would tell, they changed. They did. They became laments of agony. Their dying roars, these giants, these ancient creatures with stories that none of us could even comprehend, snuffed out. And then
Why could we not comprehend?
We were small. Living on the surface, we were so young. We've all lived so much longer now, but then the idea of these ancient creatures living in symbiosis with the world around them, with the ocean, that was beyond us. And then a worse sound came. Silence. And that was the most horrifying thing I had ever heard when I stood out on the cliffs, and I heard nothing. Whether they had been hunted to extinction or simply driven away, but I heard nothing, and I wept because those stories were gone. And I walked down to the shore. And I dipped my toes in the shore and I pleaded with the ocean to open and to let me in, and not to be lost, not to escape, but so that I could take the gift that I had been blessed with on land to the ocean, that I could tell those stories that had been taken away. I wanted them to endure, not for me, but because those are stories that deserve to be told. All stories, just look at us, we here telling our tales. Those tales deserve to be told. And they should be told by those whose stories they truly are, but perhaps I can be the next best thing. And the ocean opened for me, and I left my possessions behind, what meager things I still had left.
Was that difficult?
No. There was... I'd run out of stories in the city. I couldn't tell anymore, and I didn't have anyone to miss.
How did it feel to let go of all of that?
Quiet, cold, so peaceful. It was so gentle to slip beneath the waves, to let myself melt into the sea foam and the coral, and I could hear, and for the first time I could understand the stories. Maybe not as they would, but well enough to tell them. And now I keep the stories of the ocean alive. I give a voice to those who I stood too long on land listening to their voices stolen from them.
But it was never stolen, truly, because...
No, I suppose not, but perhaps I could have done more sooner.
This does not mean that we should forgive the actions of those fishermen. Had they not done it, you would not need to be here. And though we love you being here.
Perhaps I should feel more hatred than I do.
You're not angry?
Yeah.
I can feel the anger of the creatures beneath the waves. I can, the remaining Titan whales, their songs are quiet and they're full of rage, but it's not my anger. I will tell the stories of their rage, of their lamentations, but my own anger, my stories were told a long time ago, and my tale is told, and the tides turn.
I still feel my rage.
Yes, sister.
I felt it as the salt kissed my skin, then bit my skin, then sank beneath it and dragged me into cold, into depth, into darkness, into blackness, where those senses, those smells, those tastes, the sound of laughter and joy as we ate communally around the table were taken from me, as my mouth and stomach filled only with the salination of the depths of the sea. You speak of the beautiful stories, you speak of the symbiosis and the love the sea can give, but as I tumbled from the only home I had known atop its waves into the crushing emptiness of its bed. I did not feel any of those wonderful things that you have come to know, that I too have come to know.
Did you scream as you fell?
Can one scream as one drowns? I tried. I tried to scream my brother's name. My brother who got me the job on that merchant ship. I was nobody, he was important.
Was he on the ship that night?
No. My brother was not on the ship that night. Because 3 months before I fell to the depths, so did he. He was the one who went to the merchants, to the politicians, to the leaders of the city. He was the face they knew. And when it became clear that somebody from our vessel was sharing our wealth for free, he was the one who was blamed. And they said it was an accident, but I felt the hand on my back, and I know it was no accident. The sea took your twin, and you learned to forgive her. But I will not forgive the city that took my brother.
As well, you should not. I stand with you on this.
My tale is told and the tides turn.
Well, my story begins with rot. My vibrant mother had grown thin as the wind might carry her away. As I said, we were poor. We could not afford good food. And at this time in her life, the healers could only shrug, unsure of what was wrong with her, past starvation. And no one would help. And so one day, I went down to the docks with a basket of spoiled fish. This was all I could afford, to make my offering to the sea in the hope that something would come around to help us. I didn't ask for riches or for vengeance, only mercy, and I began to throw those rotted fish into the sea. It was night and the moon was high, and unfortunately I was spotted. The lord of this town. His gaze slid over me like oil, heavy with hunger and insulted by my poverty. He accused me of waste, he accused me of theft, of defiling his harbour. His words were loud enough to wake the houses around the dock. Soon the neighbours were dragged from their beds, my mother taken from hers. They beat the boy who sold me the fish. They smashed the boat of the old man who would let me borrow his knife. And me? Well, they saved me for last. I remember the pain in flashes, a boot in my rib, the salt sting of the pier's wood as it pressed into my cheek as they held me against it, and the laughter of the Lord's men. And then the cold, just deep, cold as they threw me to the black beneath. And I sank. I should have stayed there. But the Tide Mother found me, wrapped me in currents older than my bones, and filled my lungs not with air, but with thunder. And she bound lightning to my fingers. And the next time I rose into the city, I brought with me the storm. And the Lord learned what true waste was. the waste of a life that he could have left untouched. My tale is told, and the tides turn.
Lords, lords, lords. My tale is of the wizards in their towers. They promised me the world. We'll make you a star, they said. Your voice will move tides and empires, and I was flattered. I believed them, so I let them bind my songs to their spells.
Sister.
At first it was glory. Crowds at the harbor, my name on every tongue. But they wanted more, and more, and more, and more. They locked me in their tower, forcing me to sing until my voice was simply a machine, pushing ships faster, driving trade, feeding their coffers. They only think of money.
It's heartless. All these stories, there's so much cruelty. What drives people to do things like this?
Greed. It's relentless greed. And I was exhausted until my own memory slipped away like sand through water. They called it devotion to the city, to the name, to who we were meant to be, glorious, enduring. But I knew it was captivity. One night, I sang a song, not for them, but for the waves. I poured my chains into water, and the sea answered. The tower cracked, walls split, and I was carried into the deep. But the master of the wizards escaped, the worst of them all, the most cunning, the most cruel. Now he binds new bards, twisting their voices into his machinery. Once pure, they are now corrupted by his hunger. They have forgotten who they are, as I once did.
These wizards must be stopped.
They are. They must be.
Do you think they're like that by nature?
Who?
The wizards.
The wizards?
Has the magic corrupted them?
Yeah, power. Magic and power. And money. They are machines of extraction, and they turn others into that. Not only are they corrupted at the core, rotten at the core, but they corrupt others.
They take us and they twist us into shapes we do not recognize.
Constantly driving all of production and results and exploited and exploiting. I mean, the bards, they are exploited, as I was, but then I was the one who was exploiting, and I feel deep greed and shame.
You feel shame?
I feel so much shame and anger. I do not deserve the kind of continuity, the body I became when I became a sea witch. The only reason I am here is to drown them all.
We will help you.
Thank you. My tale is told and the tides turn.
I know I've told you about the love I've seen in the ocean, but I'll never forget the first time I saw a white reef. On the reefs, the algae that produce food, they also give them their color. And when they die, they take their color with them. I still remember that dive with the ocean dark and inky. They never stood a chance. My beautiful underwater rainforest was drained pallid. And I felt rage. The ocean had become a dumping ground. You know, we told ourselves that all of this trash would be taken away to some magical place and everything would be made clean. That was a lie. We told ourselves that the ocean was infinite, that no matter what we put in it, it would dissolve. It could never taint the thing that was always a constant in our lives. That was a lie. And then we told ourselves that what we were doing was wrong, but eventually we'd change our ways, that there'd be enough guilt and remorse that it would turn into action. And that was the worst lie, because we were lying about our own nature. That's when I realized it's not about fun facts or trite tidbits. It's not enough to just know things. You have to feel them. You have to understand what I felt when I saw that white reef. So I organized. The ocean advocates, we used to give out stickers. We sabotaged machinery. We poured salt water into engines. And then, one day, we put our bodies on the line because we knew that we had to act, because there was a boat out on the horizon, dredgers scraping what they needed from the sea, but that wasn't enough. They also had to dump their waste as they did it. So we found our own boat, and I still remember the wind whipping through my hair and the salt stinging my eyes as we approached, and a storm as clouds gathered overhead, but that couldn't stop us. It would never stop us. And then we saw them. Finally, we were close enough. And all I could think was that this was my sister's final resting place, and they were defiling it. So I tore at them. I jumped on their ship, and I used everything that I had. My fists, my teeth. We had a knife for cutting nets, I used that too. Eventually they had enough, so one of the larger ones grabbed me, spat in my face, and threw me overboard. But just before I hit the water, I grabbed his ankle and I pulled him down with me. Do you believe he was evil? I don't know, but I knew he wasn't ignorant. There was nothing I could have taught him that he didn't already know.
Were you afraid?
No. The nightmares I'd had about something pulling me down, they were premonitions. I was the beast from the ocean. I was part of the ocean as much as a current or a tide, and this was what I was made to do. I wasn't afraid. I was home. And I felt her for a moment. As I dropped into the deeps, I felt my sister there with me. And I knew that I was the hand reaching for a new world and dragging the old one down with me as I went. I have no regrets. My tale is told, and the tides turn.
Right 3. Deciding. Each player draws one slip from the center. These will be your new secret words. Right 3, deciding. We open debate for 15 minutes. Argue for destroy or heal, or what your new world should look like. When your drawn words land, turn the paper around and write heal or destroy. Then add it to the center, and as same as always, move your miniature forward. (8:35), we finish maths.
15 minutes?
8:50. 8:50, right. Right, let's debate.
I say drown it. Get rid of it. I'm not having this anymore. I've heard your stories. I get that you've come to peace with yours, more or less, but there is so much wrong with this city, and I do not believe that they can be redeemed. This has been going on for hundreds of years.
Do you not think a person's nature can be changed?
I've seen no evidence of it.
Not simply by facts. If we don't destroy the city, I think we should at least raise it. Give them a storm or two.
Oh, I like that idea.
You talked of the wizard's corruption, power, their magic corrupts. Who are we to say that the same is not happening to us? Do we have that right? Do we...
Yes.
We 5?
We are not wizards. We are witches, we are mermaids, we are of the sea. We listen to the sea, we listen to the soul of the earth, of our planet. The wizards, they sought for themselves. I seek nothing.
When you listen to the soul of the sea and the planet, what does it tell you?
Destroy. Begin again.
How can you be so sure that is the sea telling you this? I hear the stories in the ocean. I speak as the voice of the ocean, and I hear life and death, yes, but love and grief and loss and joy and discovery, these are all things. Are we so arrogant to believe that we live down here in ways that even the fools, even short-sighted and small and petty, that we live lives more than they do?
Are your stories enough?
What else do we have?
We have rage. We have loving rage. You say, oh, do people change? In fact, I think people can change. I have seen people change for the worse.
Yes.
And if I sincerely believe this action, leave it to nature to let those survive. The ones who are worthy, the water will save. I truly believe that the water will save. As it saved us. Although we have lost many a good person. We have a purpose. There is no other reason why I am here today. I should be gone. I should not exist apart from this act that is despicable. But I've already done despicable things.
I did none. I was very, very good.
The despicable things were some of my favorite.
How long will we bear witness to all of these wrongs? How long will we tell ourselves we will share stories of the wrongs we have seen instead of doing something about it?
I lament the ending of any story, especially stories cut short. I can't say for sure. if the destruction of the city above would cut it short, perhaps its time is gone. I don't know.
How about we just destroy that harbour area? I really don't like that area.
Destroy it all. They've had their chance. Did your stickers save the coral?
No. Quite the opposite, really. I've seen a few of them floating.
You are driven by kindness, sister.
And while that is beautiful.
I understand the impulse to be kind, but are the people of this city who have laid such destruction upon this world kind?
I don't know if you're being kind, though. Are you just afraid to mourn of the consequences? I would let go of them all without sadness.
But the stories as they are, what do I have to tell?
Celis, you can tell a new story. What comes next? You are the storyteller. You are the keeper of legend, and we can build this together. What is the world you dream of? Ignore what we have to do to get there. Tell us.
The stories are not mine. I am the teller. And sisters, I will tell the stories that will be. But I ask you, can you truthfully tell me that your desire comes from anything more than the base desire to do harm as you were harmed? Is there more to that story? Are you telling yourselves a story of righteousness to justify cruelty for cruelty's sake?
Every storm I bring in is my vengeance for what happened to me. This goes far beyond capsizing a ship here or flooding a small area of a town over there. This is far bigger than just a tale of
What
petty
comes after the
vengeance.
storm?
Everything gets cleaned. The things that were not tied down get swept away, and people have to clean up.
We will rebuild.
Yes. If we destroy, there is a blank canvas. A blank canvas, there are new stories. There is new things to create.
Will you continue when the rage that holds you together dissipates?
The next generation can live without this rage. The next generation can benefit. I want a world of new growth. I'm sick of this grime, of this. It seems to me that growth can only happen, light can only happen when things are completely dark. It's stars in the night sky, it's new voices, it's a rebalance of the power. It's in the wrong hands.
It's the power. It's in the wrong hands.
It's in the wrong hands.
How I wish I could think, I could truly believe in a time the rage did not fuel me. Once I was not fueled by rage. There was a time when I felt joy and hope and creativity and naive belief that the world could be changed as it is into something better, but now all I have left is the rage. Because the rage is the only thing that can drive me further than I was willing to go. The rage is our chance to destroy everything corrupted, to meet the hatred we have been met with, one and the same, to wipe it away and start again.
however it shakes out. I hope that when I speak the tales of my sisters to the ocean, I can tell tales of something other than rage. That I can tell a tale of caring, of feeding, of a voice so beautiful it stopped the tide, of a family, of that bond, of a cause, of a belief, of a passion. I hope, and I will stand with you, sisters.
I do not believe we are being uncaring. We care a lot. That is the problem. We care too much. We want a better place because we care about the innocents that are there who are being corrupted by these lords, these wizards, these people in power. And our issue, I think, is that we care too much. We should care less. If we didn't care, we wouldn't have a debate. We would just do.
And your creatures will have peace.
And I will tell those stories too, but I will still tell the stories of the lives lost. Innocent lives, maybe. But I have told the story of many lost innocent lives before, and I will do so again.
And they will continue to be lost. And I have faith that the ocean will choose who is worthy. And we have a reef shaper. We have cities we can build under the water, where hand in hand we share, and I agree. I am a little lost. I know I have been lost. I have done bad things, but there is part of me that knows that this is for the best.
I am pleased that you are inclined to tell stories of me as a hero, but I'm ready to accept stories where I am a villain, sister.
I don't know what stories they will be, but I suppose it is time to let the tides turn and for a new tale to be told.
Then it is decided, I suppose. Are we in agreement that we shall go through with this ritual?
Yes.
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 Those in the innermost circle take a vote from the center.
Destroy.
Destroy.
Destroy. The coven has decided to drown the city and let nature reclaim it completely. They have performed the ritual perfectly, united as one force, a collective. We will go around the group and each player will answer the following questions. What part of the city is destroyed first?
The harbour is taken first. Wooden splinters, ships dashed upon the rocks. That first industry of the city brought down first. The ships run aground. Splinters float through the ocean, but sink and are lost. And before long, the shoreline is peaceful again.
Who manages to escape?
The clouds gather over the city and plunge it into darkness which rises from beneath in thick, coiling tendrils, winding its way around ankles, around hearts. And the screams weave together into a music, into a song, as the very landscape is reshaped. But there will be some who remain to tell the story of what happened here. There is no unifying single characteristic. Some are very young, some are old, and some are healthy and strong, and some stagger and make their way as best they can. There are those who are still filled with joy and hope, and there are some who are filled with rage. They are not chosen for any of these reasons. They are chosen to survive because they are willing to act after this time. They are willing to continue. They have something within them which will not give in. They will come together and they will build something different on the place this city once stood.
What remains above the waterline? And it's the mountains. It's water flowing through those mountains, down to the sea hills with lush greenery. The forests survived, somehow. And the thing that is of human creation that has survived is an ancient stone circle where the future of the city might perform new forms of magic. What ocean life thrives first in the wreckage?
The reefs.
The reefs.
Without the pollution, without the constant garbage and rot and decay that is thrown into the water, the reefs are able to produce their algae again, the colours come back, and it begins to thrive again. And that makes me so happy to see. And I will make more time to come visit you in those reefs and learn as much as I can about them.
You're always welcome,
Yes.
darling.
How do the waters defend their new domain?
With a fight, never without a fight. As the land has taken from the sea over years, now the sea takes from the land, eroding what was there, preventing the establishment of new buildings, new stones being laid are washed away by the tides. The tides become stronger, they take more. The sea becomes unembarrassed at its place in the world. And of course, everything that lives within the sea also takes over what was once the land. It's less a feeling of having to carve out new spaces and more a kind of natural progression of the time. Water will take up whichever space it's in, and if that space was once a city full of hate and ignorance and that threw people into the sea that didn't take enough, then so be it. That belongs to the water now, and it belongs to us.
It belongs to us.
It belongs to us.
Hear me, children of wind and wave. Awake these storm hearts from their historic grave. Unbind the tempest from your iron chains. Let thunder roll where our dominion wanes. Answer the call of salt and sky. Surge forth to claim what once was nigh. Scour the towers, shatter our walls. Drown the city beneath your gales. No more our will shall bind the sea, nor mute the voice of destiny. Reclaim the shores with roaring might. We yield our power to your endless night. Rise, O tidal wrath, and cleanse this land. Sweep away ruin with your briny hand. Release the world from captive thrall. Storm and sea, arise and engulf us all. And with that, the game is done.